I asked him, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage.
Okay, so there's that story. She mentioned something dark in there, and I got the video of her talking about these dark things. So we're going to watch that real quick. It's a short video as well.
The world knows him as Elon Musk. His name changed over time. And what he did was, one day we were low and I was watching him. I'm a few years older than him. He was born in 1965. He was tiny. He was tiny as a 2-year-old. Tiny as a 2-year-old when he was supposed to be 8 or so. But, or 7. But he called me in his room. He said, Moon, come play with my friends. I'm going to attempt to tell you the story without explaining myself too much. He called me Moon, and he said, Moon, come play with my friends. Entry of his doorway, and it was dark in there, and he'd set up some of his mother's ancient artifacts in a certain way on his bed. Well, something was happening, and there was wind and energy and sparks, and he started jumping up and down like a little kid with a sparkler on 4th of July. And something was happening, and he started being lifted up. Something opened up above his bed, above where he'd set this up. Something opened up, and a giant opened up, and you could see another world, and he was being lifted up, and I grabbed his little arm, and I was being lifted up, and we got sucked in there. And biblically, I think it was the abyss in Revelation 10. The abyss, I think that's where we were. And we went in there, and there was no bottom. And it was dark, but it was glowing. And there were some creatures in there that were huge, and they weren't creepy like Smeagol, slimy little dudes. They were glorious and beautiful to behold. But we came like in, like we got sucked in, and we were up, and one of them grabbed me by the throat. And Elon was so happy. He was so happy. And this thing grabbed me by the throat. It was going to consume me. And I cried out to Jesus. I cried, Jesus, save me. And it stopped. And we flew back. We rolled out of his room and into the living room. Hugging the carpet. Reeling from what just happened. And Elon looked up at me, and he rolled out with me. And we were right there, face to face, like on the ground, like we were both looking at an ant or something. And he looked up at me, and he was very surprised. And he said, Moon, why are you not like my friends?
So there you go. There you have the story. Believe it or not, that's what I gotta say. There's no way said about Mars is supposedly has what is the stuff you make batteries out of? I can't remember the stuff. Lithium is supposedly lithium laden. Now, when we talk about the planets, the Bible doesn't call them planets; it calls them wandering stars, and it also talks about celestial bodies. And David may not agree with me here, but I believe that the gods mentioned in Greek, in the Rome, and then even going back to the Numalish, all of these, because they're all tied with constellations and stars. I believe these were the old stomping grounds of some of the sons of God. I believe this is where they may have lived in a place that they were a part of. And I look, is it within the firmament? Is in the firmament? We don't know that for sure. We know it's up there. We know it looks like it has land on it. We know it looks like it has rings. Well, Saturn has rings. There's moons, etc. So we know there's something up there. Like there's no doubt that something's up there. But I think that a lot of the fallen gods, he talks about his X.com being verified 3000 BC. That's the time of the Nephilim. Mars was a Nephilim. Mars was either a watcher or a Nephilim. And it's interesting to me because the Bible talks about in Jude that they left their first estate. What was their first estate? Did they have bodies of like star-like bodies? Did they have what it was it that they left their first estate for? Is this entity driving Elon Musk to get back to Mars? Because I know this, the fallen ones desperately want to get out of the world. I don't think they're able. I think that's just what billions and billions and billions of dollars has gone towards funding rocketry, funding towards shooting weapons up, up there, whatever they got to do to break through. This is what I believe they've been trying to do because they know that they're stuck here. God has enclosed them in here, especially the demonic entities. They can never die. They can never be, it can never be full of water or food, right? They thirst and hunger, but they can't eat any of those things. They're just walking around, and their main goal is to put mankind down. Like that's what they want. They want to take mankind and destroy them. The book of Enoch says they work against mankind. From the time that they died, they became spirits that went on earth, and they work against mankind. That's these Nephilim spirits. So you can't rule that part out of it either. What say you, David, about this stuff coming up?
Well, when I put what we have here, we have the most powerful man in the world coming together with the richest man in the world, and perhaps the most intelligent man in the world for some reason. But when I put it to the smell test, I don't smell sweet incense. I smell sulfur and brimstone. And more robots than people, that's disturbing when we think about singularity and this certainty, according to all of the experts, the certainty of singularity, hello Terminator, that's disturbing. But what's even more disturbing are the changes to humanity that Mr. Musk has proposed with his Neuralink and his other things that are with the transhumanist agenda.
Well, that's definitely part of what we're getting ready to talk about with the Neuralink. So
yeah, are you getting into the
Neuralink in a minute?
Okay, well, I'll save the rest of my comments for later because there's.
And it says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Who's they, right? They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. This is a vision Daniel saw of a giant statue. Each part of the body was a different material, and each one of them represented a different empire that would rule, Babylonian empire that would rule, or semi-Babylonian type empire, whatever the big beast system that would rule. Head being gold was Nebuchadnezzar's empire. Then you had the breastplate of help me out here, David. So you had the breastplate of bronze feet. The feet was the word
gold, silver, brass, and iron.
Gold, silver, brass, and iron, representing different kingdoms that come forth. Forgive me, guys. I've been sick this whole week, and so my brain at this late hour does not work correctly. We usually end this show 30 minutes from now, or 30 minutes ago. So, at the very last, you have these two kingdoms. There are a kingdom that comes forth, and it represents the feet. It's mixed with iron and clay, and Daniel sees a rock come down and bust it up because it's not strong. It's a mixture of clay, which I believe represents humanity, and then iron that could possibly represent technology. At this point, it's almost hard not to see that that's what it possibly means. Also, a warning to those of you who decide, I'm going to go ahead and get this mark of the beast, if it is the mark of the beast, in fact. Revelation 16:2, and the first went out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. And so at some point there's going to be a seal or a cup poured out that's going to cause a grievous sore on all those who receive it. There's a lot that the Bible has to say about that goes on during those times that we need to be aware of. Really believe they're building up wealth, and whether or not they know it or not, there's going to come a day of reckoning. The Bible talks about them hiding themselves in the ground, in their deep underground military bunkers, asking God to bring the rocks down on them so they don't have to face what's coming. And they know the cataclysm's coming. Every single one of them know. Do they know that they're trying to escape God's wrath? Probably. But even if they don't know, whatever's driving them knows, and this is their mode.